All right, all right, all right, all right. And so, being authentic is not pretty. I want to remind you, or at least tell you, because you may not know. Okay. Whether you're an entrepreneur or not, but especially for my entrepreneur sis, my entrepreneur colleagues, buddies, let me tell you, being authentic is not pretty. Even though you want to feel comfortable and confident and be courageous, but staying authentic is not pretty. And the reason that I say that is because of the fact that there are so many things in life that can not just distract you, but it can pretty much pull you back, make you not yourself. And even though, the saying is like nobody can not make you, like you, but we know, come on, let's be real. We know that we can get triggered. And then when it comes to being triggered, that is on us. What it is, they are, guidelines, cues to let you know where you need to nurture yourself, what work you need to do. Because the thing is, as again, my buttons have been pushed. And so in saying that, it's kind of like, oh, okay, this is something that I need to work on. The other thing of that, because I always say there's a duality, because the reason that I say that, because of the fact that it doesn't, not that you need to address it, but it doesn't mean that the other person, like you just let the other person say, oh, well, this is all on me. No, 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 no. It doesn't work that way. Other people may disagree, and that's fine. Okay. I get what you are saying. But the thing is, at the end of the day, when it comes to self-care, this is what self-care is all about. It is about you, us, me, including, and okay, I got triggered. So what is this? Why am I triggered? Because the other thing is one, and I'm going to say this. There's different ways in which you can be triggered. Number one, I'm going to use myself. Like, I know that I have been a supervisor in the past. And, any of you who've been a supervisor, you can put out an email or you can say something to your staff, and literally they all can have different reactions. And I can remember, I can even remember being a worker and even in receiving emails, and I'm like, okay, I don't think I did that. Are they addressing it to the person who they're saying that this, whatever it is? Because we all know when something probably had happened. But a lot of times people do not address it directly with the person. But going back to when I was a supervisor and I sent out an email and I'm getting some of my staff, it's like, sharing blah blah this blah, and I'm like, what did that email say? Because I had learned that when you send an email out, people interpret it different. So you try to like answer all the questions, almost like, to be honest, oh my gosh, I just thought about this. It's almost like when we're marketing, when we are selling, in and of itself, it's kind of like you try to have the objections, you try to address the objections. And so I've learned to do that. You try to like, okay, what kind of questions that, but when it come out at the end of the day, it's how people perceive it. It doesn't matter how many pre-objections that you put in there. It's just how people brain works. So that means I have to set myself up to be able to address those things. But like me as a worker, I have to look at myself and it's like, okay, why am I triggered about this? What's going on here? And so in saying that, the reason that I'm saying that staying authentic is not pretty, because there's work you got to do, because people are not going to be going around, even if you have experience things. People can have compassion and they can give you grace. But I say, if there's 100 people, like I'm talking to thousands, millions of people now, some of you may be triggered about something that I'm saying, and my heart goes out to you. But one thing that I will say is to work on those triggers, because there's no way that one person can try and satisfy everybody. Again, as an entrepreneur, there's so many downloads coming on now. That's just like when an entrepreneur, what do we say? We say that when it comes to marketing, when it comes to branding, to pick a niche pick a niche that we can't be talking to everybody. So the thing is, if you are triggered, this message may not be for you. If you are triggered, it means that you may need to go deep, several layers deep within yourself, so that you can work on those things so that you will not be. So the part that I'm really getting at is that when it comes to being authentic, it takes work. And that's why I say it's not pretty. Because when you think about life in of itself, there's so many things that are happening in and of itself. Like the other day, I was around somebody who had anxiety. I can see it. I can feel it. And they were almost causing me to have some anxiety. I felt it within myself. Do you see what I'm saying? And so in saying that, I'm like, okay. And I always kind of say, like, when I'm in a therapeutic environment, it's much easier to control. But I kind of call it, when you're in the real world, you're like, what is going on here? You know what I'm saying? Because there's a certain way that you can talk. I can talk to someone when I'm in a therapeutic environment or even in a coaching environment. But in the real world, it is a little different. But what does that tell me? That tells me certain things that I need to do. So stop blaming people for being triggered, meaning there's just a lot of work to do. And by being an entrepreneur, and for those of us who are 40 plus, we have an abundance of experience that you can look at, that you have overcome, that you can look at, that you can say, hey, what has triggered me? What have I learned? It's not just that. What are you putting in place? Not in avoiding the trigger in and of itself. Yes, if it is a certain person that is doing, saying or doing certain things, yes, you may need to set some boundaries and limit yourself of when and how you interact with that person. But at the end of the day, if that's not possible, just meaning if it's a coworker, someone on your team, or if you're part of a team, you may need to separate yourself from the team. If you are a CEO, if you're a business owner, it may be something you may need to look at. In and of itself, there are times we need to separate ourselves, and then there are times we may need to work through ourselves. And that's the thing. And so you cannot go to sleep. That's the thing. You cannot go to sleep on yourself. And so in and of itself, it may seem like, oh my gosh, I got all this work to do. Oh my gosh, things are always coming. Life does not. Like for those of you who have children, this more than ever. It's like life doesn't have a timeout in and of itself. So my thing is to be ready. Because of anything that I've learned, and I've learned this through myself, and I've learned this even through being a therapist as well. And this is one reason why I created, the self-care brand in and of itself, is that we're not doing enough work to be prepared for life. Because you may think, because you are a good person, you're a pleasant person, you're a giving person, that life is going to be sweet. But it's not. So how can you be prepared? And that's why I say being authentic is not pretty, because of the fact there are people, places, and things that may take you out of character. So meaning it's not pretty because of all the work that you have to put into, so you won't get out of character, so you won't be triggered, so that if you need to say something to someone, and it doesn't mean, for whatever reason in this society, it's almost seem like when the truth is told, why does it hurt? You know what I'm saying? Even though I don't like it, yes, it may have certain, but I always, I kind of say after that first initial emotion, but I always like, could it be true? is it something that I can work on? Sometimes yes, sometimes no, because sometimes it is just the other person's perception of me. You know what I'm saying? But then sometimes it is some truth in it, in the thing that something that I may need to work on. So what about you? What are some of the things that you may need to work on? The other thing I want to remind you of too is that when it comes to being authentic, it's not pretty. I want you to remember who you are, because sometimes you forget that. Especially when there may be a lot of unfavorable experiences, a lot of negativity, a lot of distractions, a lot of things that may get you out of alignment. And you may forget who you are. This is one of the reasons that I have not just a self-care brand, but why I created the 21-day journey of unveiling your authentic. I'm saying authentic, unveiling your potential, because it has everything to do with you, regarding you being authentic. And then also through the joy of building. Because when it comes to our jobs, sometimes we can have mixed feelings regarding our jobs. And I've been there. And it's okay to have, like to feel a certain kind of way for a moment, but don't stay there. Don't stay there. Meaning to have the joy of building your character, of building self-esteem, of building your confidence, of being courageous, of building, again, these are building blocks. And so with the 21-day journey of unveiling your potential in that, it reminds you of who you are. It really does allow you to go back and reflect on different jobs that you have had, of some key takeaways that you may have missed. Because especially as being an entrepreneur, you already know. Sometimes you can forget why you're doing something. But the thing is, there are certain characteristics that you need. Meaning to be unbothered, to stand on principle. And you can be nice and still have boundaries. You can be nice, or should I say kind. You can be kind and still, because sometimes nice, that can not be in your favor. But it's to stand on business. And if anything that I have learned and am continuing to learn when it comes to entrepreneurship, is that in and of itself, it will, and it does. And this is why it's so important to be intentional about self-care. And self-care isn't just about, all of the luxury things that comes along with it. It's really about self-development. It's about building your character. It's about building strength, having the courage to say and do the things that you need to do for your business, for your mission, for your movement, for your ministry. And sometimes it's not always easy. You're going to come across different types of people, and how you're going to be able to handle that. They're going to be deals, collaborations that may not always be in your favor, and how you're going to handle that. So again, being authentic isn't pretty because of all of the work that is required for you to be you, but it's needed and it's necessary. Yes, we want, to be able to sleep and have all of the relaxation, but it takes some work. It takes some digging. And so, as you continue this journey, and especially to stay in alignment of who you truly are, make sure you join the 21-day journey so that you can be remember of who you are. Because being authentic isn't always pretty, but you got what it takes, because something pretty much is pushing you to be who you really are. So in the comment, put in journey so that you can get more information and you can join us on this 21-day journey. And then also depends on when you listen to this, on December the 1st, I believe I said at 3 o'clock. I have to look back at the time. Then we have a Q&A on December the 1st. And for some of you, it would be the end of the 21-day journey. And some of you would be somewhere in the middle, because you can get the 21 journey at any time. But at that particular time, that is when we have a Q&A. So anyway, put in the comments when you have figured out that being authentic is not that pretty.